because Caitlin Clark's white, that's why little girls have gravitated towards her. I am floored, by the way.
Did you catch what Monica McNutt said on ESPN? Instead of just talking about Caitlin Clark's impressive success, she brought up a race issue that doesn't add up. And trust me, it didn't take long for this to backfire. We're about to show you the moment she tried to suggest that Clark's popularity has to do with race, completely overlooking the fact that fans of all backgrounds are showing up in droves to watch her play. Stick with us as we break down how her argument falls apart when we look at the facts.
Again, we got somebody involved with ESPN saying one of the most ridiculous things we've ever heard in our lives, and that is bringing racial bias into supporting Caitlin Clark, particularly when it comes to little girls.
Did you see the moment when Monica McNutt went too far and shocked basketball fans? It wasn't just a casual remark. She made a bold claim that put kids at the center of her controversial race argument about Caitlin Clark. The backlash was swift because McNutt did something pretty problematic. She suggested that young girls were supporting Clark mainly because of racial bias.
It has to show up in our storytelling, and it has to be encouraged by our families.
Yeah.
To me, right? And so covering the WNBA this past season, Caitlin Clark's rookie year, for all of the conversation that surrounded her, some which was fair and some which wasn't, the one thing that I cannot deny is the amount of little girls that were showing up to follow her. Little girls with their parents and the fervor and the energy there.
Why her?
Same thing.
Why her?
Well,
Makes this whole situation so troubling is how McNutt used innocent children to support her race theory. She didn't just talk about Caitlin Clark's popularity. She essentially accused young girls of being racially biased for cheering for a player they admire. Think about it. Instead of recognizing that these kids just love watching great basketball, McNutt brought race into the equation. How is that fair to young fans who just want to enjoy the game?
say same thing for Angel Reese when I had a chance to cover their games, but I think Caitlin represented, and again, some of this to me probably is not fair to her because it was not anything that she said or was truly based on her personality, but she was a white girl from the middle of America. And so she represented a whole lot to a lot of people, whether that is truly what she prescribed to or not.
The timing couldn't have been worse for the WNBA. Just as the league was gaining huge popularity and attracting more viewers, McNutt's divisive comments risked undoing all that positive momentum. Instead of celebrating this golden era for women's basketball, her race-focused narrative created unnecessary conflict during a time that should have been about unity and progress for the sport.
We can all say she is a dynamic basketball player and a force both on the court and the marketing sense. But I do think, same thing with folks that may have fallen in love with Angel Reese that may or may not have agreed with everything they had to say either. We attach our fandom to these icons for all types of reasons, and sometimes they may not be based on.
What's really striking is how McNutt's claims don't match the reality of what's happening in arenas across the country. The crowds at WNBA games tell a completely different story than her narrative. Fans from all backgrounds have been filling the stands to watch Caitlin Clark, proving that her popularity goes beyond race. The video evidence shows that McNutt's race-based argument is completely out of touch with what's actually going on in the real world.
Yeah, it's a new low, even for people involved with ESPN accusing little girls of racial bias, but Monica McNutt is one of those WNBA media members that walks around, I don't care what she says, she's got real venom and animosity towards Caitlin Clark.
McNutt presented her view as if it were undeniable fact, rather than just her opinion. By claiming that Clark's popularity was mainly driven by race, she didn't allow viewers to make their own judgments about why people are drawn to one of the most exciting players in the game. This approach didn't just upset fans, it insulted their intelligence.
Being called out for it, she had said some ridiculous things during an interview, and people just can't believe this, frankly. But it's where we're at. ESPN, I guess, I don't know what they would do if they couldn't race bait at this point.
Social media exploded right after McNutt's comments. Critics from all over, including various media outlets, pointed out how she was undermining Caitlin Clark's athletic achievements by suggesting her success was linked to race instead of her remarkable skills on the court. The backlash sparked a larger conversation about how race is discussed in sports and whether these discussions are helpful or harmful to the athletes involved.
None of that is why there's a bunch of little kids. If you, like, the people you have a problem with, Caitlin Clark is not, like,
She's literally, they hate her too. They hate her too. You just want to say Caitlyn's only popular because she's white, and that's fine. That is fine. Go out and say it. Say it with your chest. Say it with your chest. Go out and try to make that argument.
While critics were quick to call out McNutt on social media, no one was asking the most important question. If Clark's popularity really is about race, then why didn't earlier white WNBA stars create the same kind of buzz? This is where McNutt's argument completely falls apart.
Because the war CC's popularity is discussed, you would think that Sabrina Ionescu and Kelsey Plum are apparently black basketball players. This person said you think she's the first white woman in the WNBA.
Think about it. The WNBA has had plenty of successful white players over the years. Rebecca Lobo, Sue Bird, and Diana Taurasi, to name just a few. These women are legends who dominated the game for years, with huge fan bases, multiple championships, and Olympic gold medals. If white fans were only interested in watching white players, why weren't arenas packed decades ago? The history clearly contradicts everything McNutt is trying to claim.
Little girls from Dallas now that got brought into the game recently because of the boom, because of it's now trendy. The WNBA is now trendy, so there's a lot of parents bringing their kids. A lot of parents that got into the WNBA through Caitlin Clark might live in these other cities, bringing their young daughters to games in other cities. And you're seeing how many young girls are fans of Arike, how many young girls are fans of Angel, how many young girls are fans of Sabrina, of Asia from Vegas. Like, it's a really good thing.
You know what's even more revealing? Caitlin Clark was breaking viewership records at the University of Iowa long before she even joined the WNBA. Her college games were drawing huge crowds, many of whom had never watched women's basketball before. Are we really supposed to believe that these new fans tuned in because of her race? Or is it more likely that they were drawn in by her incredible scoring ability and exciting style of play?
The WNBA is coming off its most successful campaign in the league's 28 season history, setting highs in viewership, attendance, and merchandise sales. Undoubtedly, Fever guard Caitlin Clark was the primary reason for the spurt in popularity.
McNutt wants us to overlook all the basketball reasons people watch Clark, like her incredible logo three-pointers, slick passes, and record-breaking performances, and instead claim it's all about race. That's not just wrong. It's an insult to basketball fans everywhere who can recognize greatness, no matter what the player looks like.
This whole thing really did kickstart from Caitlin Clark, and that's fine. But it's an objective good thing. It's fine that she has the most fans. It's fine that she has the most fans, because everyone has more fans.
Let's look at the facts. Clark's games feature more exciting offensive plays, more three-pointers, and more highlight reel moments than your average WNBA game. That's why people watch. They're not concerned with the racial makeup of the teams. They're after entertainment and top-tier basketball, which is exactly what Clark delivers.
And that's the case in every single sport. That is the reason why they're hometown heroes. They're a reason why people, like a lot of people like the story of Caitlin Clark going to her local school and making them basically, turning them into one of the best schools in the country. That's a legitimate story, which there's no problem. But to add the asterisk of, well, Caitlin, it's not Caitlin's fault that this happened, means that you actually have a problem with that, which means you have a problem with those group of people.
Caitlin Clark's exceptional skills are changing the game in women's basketball in ways we've never seen before. Think back to when Steph Curry revolutionized the NBA with his long-range shooting. Clark is doing the same thing for women's basketball, stretching the court and creating spacing that completely transforms the way we watch the game. This basketball revolution is exactly what McNutt's race narrative overlooks.
Are you not embarrassed? Like, this is like in 2015 when Steph Curry took over. It's the style of play. We've seen it before in the men's side. It is when somebody has a style of play that people really want to tune into, really want to watch, and makes people excited to tune in, they will watch.
When Clark pulls up from the logo, she's shooting from 30 to 35 feet away from the basket. She's not just scoring points. She's changing the very way defense works in women's basketball. Defenders now have to cover areas of the court they never had to worry about before. This shift is completely transforming offensive strategies and spacing, making the game more dynamic and exciting for fans. It's like watching the game evolve right before your eyes.
You want to know how many little white kids looked up to Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan? You got to be shitting me right now. It's got nothing to do with anything.
Clark's impact goes well beyond just her shooting range. She has elite court vision, allowing her to make passes through defenses that most players wouldn't even try. Her no-look passes and full-court assists create viral moments that spread across social media in no time, attracting viewers who might not usually watch women's basketball. When a highlight pops up showing Clark threading an impossible pass between 3 defenders, race doesn't even cross your mind. You just think, I need to see more of that.
If it was anybody of any kind of color and they carried themselves in a way on and off the court the way Caitlin Clark does, and I'm sorry, but she's better than all the players that we're bringing up here. And that's the big thing. She's better than those players.
Watching a Fever game with Clark on the court is a completely different experience from what WNBA fans are used to. The pace picks up, the scoring goes up, and the chances of seeing a jaw-dropping play skyrocket. This style especially resonates with younger fans who've grown up watching the fast-paced, three-point-heavy NBA. They're not tuning in because of race. They're watching because Clark brings the high-energy, high-scoring action they love.
That's what we got to get past, is the Sabrina Ionescu's and all that. No. They did not resonate the way that Caitlin Clark has. All right? And look, they carry themselves fine off the court, but I'm saying Caitlin Clark's the total package all the way around.
What's fascinating is how Clark's college success built a narrative that fans were eager to follow into her professional career. Her record-breaking performances at Iowa created a foundation of interest that went beyond typical women's basketball viewership. Fans got invested in her journey, not her ethnicity. They followed her as she broke scoring records and led her team on deep tournament runs, forming emotional connections that continued when she made the jump to the pros.
Now, the question would be, are parents of other races allowing their kids to become Caitlin Clark fans, or are the old WNBA fandom steering their kids away from that? Maybe that's a question we should ask.